What's going on YouTube? Chris back with another video. This one I am excited for because today we're going to be checking out Google Pixel 6a, Google's latest budget A-line series smartphone. This was available for pre-order a week ago, but now it is officially available on Amazon and other retailers. I'll leave the link down in the description where you can pick one up on Amazon. I do believe right now they are giving like a $50 gift card depending on what retailer you get it from. But those that were able to get this pre-ordered, Google had some amazing trade-in deals. $300 for trading in a Pixel 3a series or Pixel 3. Fantastic value for trade-in for getting the latest Pixel A-line series phone. So this launches for $450. I'd say a mid-range price, but something with the A series now is this uses the same flagship processor that's in the 6 and 6 Pro, Google's Tensor chip. So we're going to go ahead and get through an unboxing and just go quickly run through just using the phone, checking it out, how it is in the hand. Right now we do have the Sage color. They do have it in white, which is named chalk, and then a charcoal black color as well. This is definitely not going to be a tiny phone, but it's also not a large phone like the 6 Pro is. This uses a 6.1 inch 1080p display. It is running at 60 hertz. Not a big deal, especially if you're coming from another budget or mid-range phone. It's going to be perfectly adequate. Okay. So this does have 6 gigs of RAM, 128 gigs of storage, so no other storage options. This is it, UFS 3.1, and that is 6 gigs of LPDDR5. So fast storage and fast memory to boot. So we're going to go ahead and get this unboxed. And I was actually surprised when I received this via FedEx from Google of just how small this box is. So it kind of gives a little bit of inclination of just the size of the phone itself. And there is the Sage color. I'll set that off to the side. And then all you get is your C to C cable, a C to USB-A on-the-go storage transfer cable, and then there's a little SIM ejector tool underneath this box and some other documentation. So here is that Sage color. This is a two-tone. This is I actually like this. This is more like a mint color here, and then that sage green. So we're gonna go ahead and peel this off and go through the phone itself. So this is actually a nice weighted phone. So I compared the actual size to the Pixel 3a XL, which this would be upgrading from. They're basically the same exact size. This is slightly heavier. That is because instead of an all plastic build, the 6A actually has metal aluminum frame around the outside mid-frame, essentially. Unlike other news articles and other largely known influencers out there, this is not glass, this is plastic. And there's that Google logo. But because it's plastic, unfortunately, it doesn't mean that there's wireless charging in this. That is something Google had to kind of skimp out on for the actual price. But I would say this is a nice, really feeling phone for $450. And this is definitely not like an A-series line device. It feels really good. The last Pixel phone I had was a Pixel 5. The frame feels exactly the same. You get your metal buttons, volume down, and your power button. And here's that similar design language of the 6 series, and that camera, it's a very small camera bump compared to other devices. I would say that's probably in line with the Pixel 5 in terms of how high that camera bump protruded out the back. But in terms of the cameras, we have a 12.2 megapixel sensor. This is the same sensor that has been on pretty much every Pixel phone up to date. It's essentially before the Pixel 6 came out. So this is a very well-known, very optimized camera. This is something that Google's been using, and they've really kind of gotten everything they can out of it. So you already know that the camera picture quality is going to be really great out of this. This is 1.4 microns in terms of pixel size and with an f1.7 aperture. And then there's also a secondary camera, like I mentioned, which is a 12 megapixel ultra wide sensor f2.2. Right here up front, we have a centered 8 megapixel front facing camera. And then we have Gorilla Glass 3 on the front. And like I said, plastic back. On the bottom, you do have your USB-C cable port, your bottom firing speakers, and there's also a little sliver for a front earpiece. And this also acts as a front-facing speaker as well. So we're gonna go ahead and turn this display on. Something I do actually like is like this boxiness. And there you see the 6.1 inch display. Not tiny by any means, but in terms of the overall size, this is a bigger screen compared to the 3A XL in the same footprint. You have larger bezels, which is to be expected on a device at this price point, but one benefit is actually you get completely flat front display, which you get a couple benefits from actually. I've always enjoyed front glass that is flat compared to curved edges because one, you don't have to worry about palm rejection because of the curved glass, and two, screen protectors are going to fit much better and look a lot better as well. You don't have to worry about these little halo effect around the edges or get any special expensive curved glass that you have to use an entire process to install. So we're going to go through the setup here. I'll get everything transferred. It's going to take a long process, but I will say this feels really good for a one-handed phone. It's fairly narrow, so that way you can actually reach across the screen and get to the other side, and just a small hand gymnastic to get to the top. But overall, this actually feels really good. The cold metal on the edges feels really good as well. You don't get a headphone jack in this, but I mean, again, by now we're in late 2022. You probably should be already on Bluetooth earbuds. And if you did pre-order this, you got free Pixel A series earbuds, which $100 right there, making this super cheap, especially if you're upgrading from an older Pixel device. So like I said, it has Google Tensor chip, and then inside there's a 4400 milliamp hour battery. I suspect with the 60 hertz display, a slightly smaller display, you're going to get at least a full day's use of battery. Nevertheless, that this is, like I said, full HD, so 1080p by 2400, so 2400 by 1080p, Gorilla Glass 3. This is an OLED display, an AMOLED, so you are going to get those completely deep blacks like you see here on the setup screen. Alrighty guys, so I'm going to go through, get this device set up, and we'll just take a look at some of the OS. It's going to be a typical Pixel experience as you might come to expect, and we'll be right back. All right, going through the setup, one thing that you will notice that there's unfortunately no fingerprint scanner on the back anymore, unfortunately. It is now in display, just like most other modern smartphones. So that is something that you're going to have to contend with now if you're used to that optical fingerprint scanner. So right now we're going through the setup process. And people have mentioned how it's either slower or all this other security issue stuff. There is supposed to be a kind of day one update available. So one major good feature that has been available for Pixel now is the Now Playing. Basically, Spotify built into the phone. It can listen and identify various music that's playing in the background. This is something that's super useful, especially when you're out at the mall or wherever. You hear a song, you're like, oh, what is that? Well, boom, right on your lock screen, it'll identify the song, and you can save it for later listening to or open it in Spotify. Definitely something you want to recommend that you turn that on. All right, everyone, we are back now. the device is still in the process of installing all the apps from a backup that I used, so do keep that in mind. During this time, your phone will get warm. It might act a little more sluggish than usual just because of the downloading, installing, and everything else going on in the background. So just do keep that in mind. But right now, I can definitely tell you that there is a warmth coming from this part of the phone just due to everything that is going on. I do suspect that to go away eventually once everything gets settled in and is not doing a lot right now. But I wanted to check out that fingerprint scanner that I set up earlier and double tap to wake on the screen and it unlocks just like that. I mean, to be honest, I used the S22 Ultra a bit ago, and to be honest, I mean, depending on how you enroll your fingerprint as well will play a big factor when unlocking the device and the speed of it and accuracy. Especially if you put a screen protector on that, you're going to want to re-enroll your fingerprint after you install a screen protector, so do keep that in mind. But right there, you just saw it unlock the device fairly quickly. I would have no complaints, to be honest, on this. This feels perfectly fine to me. Going through the setup, we're actually going through the settings. If you do transfer your backup from another Pixel, all your settings will be the same. So I didn't have to go and enable developer options. That was already there. And I recommend anyone for the Android device, go ahead and just make sure that you enable or change the animations to 0.5 animation window, transition duration to 0.5. It will just make it feel and look a lot faster as well. But if we go into the display, you have your standard dark mode as well. You can save a little bit more battery with dark mode. Colors, natural, boosted. I usually put it on boosted for Pixel devices. And then if you put a screen protector, increase touch sensitivity, depending on if you do have any sort of issues with taps or recognitions of gestures and things like that. So right now we're at 72% after this little bit of setting up the device and turning it on. And then of course with Android 12, you have the Material U capabilities to change really the colors and adapt to your wallpaper and things like that. This will be able to be eligible for Android 13 beta, which will be releasing probably in just a couple months anyways, just ahead of the Pixel 7 launch. I do plan to actually root this. So really all this setup is null and void and pointless. If I'm going to be rooting it, I'm going to be wiping the phone anyways. So stay tuned. Let me know if you would like to see a video on how to unlock the bootloader, root this, and have this device pass safety net for you to use Google Pay and any other banking or mobile apps that kind of detect if you're rooted or anything like that. Overall, I think the display, with this being a budget mid-range phone, honestly, at most devices, I usually put 60 hertz or 90 hertz at most, just for the sake of battery life. Yes, a smooth 120 hertz display really looks really good, but that's going to be more processing on your phone, and takes up more battery as well for just the visual looks and smoothness. 60 hertz, I think it's going to be completely adequate for most people, and that's, I think, really where the A-line series is meant for. People that don't want to spend $800+ on a phone, but they want to be able to have a phone that, one, will be able to take really good pictures, because who doesn't take pictures with their phone? Two, a phone that will last a good long time. Three, has a very clean, easy to use software experience, which is Pixel. That is through and through from day one of the initial Pixel. Great, clean Pixel experience that Google offers. This is not stock Android, so let's get that straight, but it is much cleaner and user-friendly, in my opinion, for people just getting into Android, especially those that are iPhone users. Transitioning from an iPhone to Pixel is super easy. Google has a really good app to be able to transfer iMessages and text messages and apps and everything else. Really, I think this really hits a lot of the boxes. This is not like a cheap feeling phone because this is a metal frame, so you do get a nice feeling in your hand. But if you're gonna put a case on it, it's irrelevant. Buttons feel really good, and so yeah, coming from a flagship phone, I was using a Pixel 5, then an S22 Ultra. To be honest, I really like this. I like the size of it. It feels good. The boxiness, it may or may not be your fancy, but I actually like that type of design. So yeah, I mean, here's your dual cameras in the back there, your flash in that two-tone for the Sage, and then of course the two-tone for any color. You're going to have slightly different colors in the back. Again, I'll leave the link down in the description where you can pick this up on Amazon for $450. I certainly recommend a Pixel. If I'm going to get anyone to switch from iPhone, I say just get a Pixel and be done with it. I also just like recommending Pixel to a lot of people as well for the sake of the camera, the ability of getting a lot of software and security updates for a long period of time. And if that's something that I certainly enjoy, being able to get the latest Android version, being the first one to get that. And yeah, I think Google really did extremely well with the Pixel 6a, especially for this price point, and for those even more so that got in a really good trade-in value with the $300 off plus the Pixel Series A buds. If you were coming from that and you're upgrading for $150, this is certainly a no-brainer, 100%. So if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, curiosities, let me know down in the comments and I will answer them to the best of my ability. I will be getting a screen protector in a couple cases, so stay tuned and subscribe when you want to check out that content when I get those posted as well in the coming weeks. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you all in the next video. Take care and stay safe.